Hello, how are you doing? My name is Otto and I hope you're having an amazing day. This here is a AA battery and this is the new Insta360 GO3, a tiny camera that has an insane low weight of 35 grams and can record videos up to 2.7K. And if you want to have more of a classic action camera feel and look, you can attach the GO3 into this action pod. This actually belongs to someone I know, so this video is not sponsored by Insta360. And if you're new to the channel, you need to know that my videos do not follow the marketing hype standards that we see most of the time. If you decide to buy this, you will have to choose what memory size you want. The Insta360 GO3 comes with 32, 64, or 128 gigabytes of internal memory. There is no way to add more memory, so you need to be careful when you select one or the other. If you fill the internal memory and you are on a trip, for example, you need to move those files out of the camera to a computer or maybe to your phone if you have enough space. Otherwise, you can keep using the GO3. I would not recommend getting the 32GB version. It's really not enough memory and you will only save about $20 compared to the 64GB version, which has a price of $400. And if you want to get the 128GB version, you will have to pay $430, which is not a bad deal to get double the space from 64. But it's not just about the price. What really matters is how much you can record with 64 gigabytes of memory, for example. And if you want a quick answer, it's going to be somewhere between 1 hour and a half and almost 3 hours. The 128GB version will record twice as much, and this big difference comes down to the record mode that you want to use. So we need to talk about the standard video and free frame video mode. A standard video will give you a straightforward video that you can use right away, just like you do with any camera. It has a maximum resolution of 2.7K up to 30 frames per second, or you can shoot at 1440p up to 50 frames per second. Using free frame, it seems like the GO3 is using the entire sensor to record, so the final result is this round-shaped video that you need to edit using the Insta360 app on your phone or on your computer. The big advantage is that you can reframe this later to a horizontal or vertical video, and if you keep the original file, you can do that as many times as you want. The downside of this free frame mode is that it doesn't have 2.7K, so the maximum resolution is 1440p at 24 or 50 frames per second. But on the interesting side, it has a high bitrate of 100 megabits per second. The regular video shooting at 2.7K has a bitrate of only 50 megabits per second. And the bitrate is important because having a higher one means that you will get a higher quality in your video. And I believe that this mode was capped at 50 megabits per second to avoid overheating when you record at 2.7K. That's actually very clever by Insta360. They know that people don't like to buy these kind of products when they have overheating issues. And I have to confess that I tried multiple times to get this camera to shut down or to give me some kind of warning, but it never happened. Okay, so standard video mode has a higher resolution with a lower bitrate, and free frame mode has a lower resolution, but it has a higher bitrate. But how does it translate in the video quality? Well, according to my multiple tests, the 2.7K video will have a better image quality than using the 1440p in free frame mode, but the higher bitrate seems to bring some kind of balance to these videos. And I have to say that most people will not be able to see the difference unless they're looking for the details or if they're zooming in. Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not saying that the video quality on free frame mode is as good as the standard video at 2.7K, because at the end, the reality is that there is a difference. So now that I explained all that, we can go back to the previous topic about how much you can record with the internal memory. 64 gigabytes at 2.7K, which is the standard video mode, can record up to 2 hours and 53 minutes. Using the same video mode at 1440p at 50 frames per second, you will get 2 hours and 10 minutes. And if you want to use free frame, you will get about 1 hour and a half at 24 or 50 frames per second. You can lower the bitrate from high to standard and get about 20 to 30 extra minutes of record time. But for a camera like this, I do recommend to use the bitrate setting on the highest value. Insta360 is well known for having one of the best electronic stabilization for their cameras, which they call flow state. And this, with horizon level, will be applied to the GO3 videos automatically when you open them inside the app. If you're going to be using the standard video mode, you will not get horizon level, but you can still use the stabilization by selecting the level, which can be a standard, high, or maximum. You need to do this before you start recording, or your videos will look like this, and this is not how you want your videos to look like. Taking a closer look at the camera, I have to say that I like the small and clean design that it has. The GO3 is waterproof down to 5 meters, and it has 2 microphones that I will test in a few minutes. You can use simple voice commands like start recording or stop recording. And you can remove the lens protector if you want to use ND filters. The back of the GO3 is magnetic, which is great to be able to place this tiny camera in different places, and all the accessories that you get in the box also relies on magnets. For example, this ball head that has a 1/4-inch thread hole, so you can use a tripod or an extension rod like this one. Or you can use it with this stand just like this on a flat surface, or with this sticky surface that you can reuse multiple times. The pendant is this round magnetic base that you can wear under your shirt and then place the GO3 like this. With this wedge, you can adjust the angle just enough for the camera to point a little bit up or down. This one is supposed to go like this, but I don't know, it's not doing the trick. You can also adjust the length of the cord by pulling these rubber things, or even hide the cord if you want to. It's not perfect, but you get the idea. I also found this pendant to be useful to attach the GO3 to a non-magnetic surface, but please be careful if you're going to do this. This over here is the easy clip. You attach the GO3 inside this pod and you can change the angle. And now you can use it on a hat like this, or anywhere where you can fit the clip. So the action pod is also magnetic, so you can attach the GO3 just like this. It really feels good to do this. The GO3 is going to be secured on the inside, so the only way to get this out is by pushing this unlock button on the left side and put the GO3 like this. The action pod has an internal battery that will let you charge the GO3 multiple times. In the back, we have a color display that is touch enabled. This will give you a live view of the camera, and here you can change the camera mode and access different menus to change the settings. The menus are quite responsive to the touch, and I didn't feel any lag when I was changing the settings. At the top, there is a record button, and on the right side, there are 2 more buttons. The one at the top is to power on or off the camera, and the one below will let you quickly change the video mode or change between the different presets which are customizable. This action pod has a few things that I found to be useful. The first one is that the screen can flip all the way up, so now it's easier to use in selfie mode and change anything inside the menu from this position. If you compare this with the GoPro 11, for example, this front screen is way smaller and is not even touch enabled. But I will talk more about that when I compare these 2 cameras in a few days. The screen can also be adjusted in any angle that you want, and I found myself using it at 90 degrees or so for low angle shots. The second thing that I like about this action pod is that it works as a remote control when the GO3 is not attached. So you can see a live view of the camera, you can change the settings, and you can start or stop recording from the action pod. I would love to say that this is close to perfect, but it has some limitations. For example, this is not waterproof, although Insta360 says that it is splash proof. If you want to review the videos that you recorded, you can do it without having the GO3 attached to the action pod. And now that I mentioned that, the video playback is done in low resolution. And why is that? I have no idea. Maybe this actually extends the battery life? Very clever indeed. The connection between the GO3 and the action pod is also limited by a few meters. I was able to use it up to 9 meters away, but the connection was not very consistent. Insta360 claims that the range is 5 meters, and that's just about right. I know a lot of you are wondering how good or bad is the screen lag, and in my opinion, it is good enough for the most part. But if you want to use the standard video mode with stabilization on, you will see some lag. Let me show you really quick how it looks like with no stabilization. I think it looks just fine. But then you can see that when I turn the stabilization on, it lags quite a bit. I feel that the battery life on the Insta360 GO3 is actually good. The camera by itself can record for about 45 minutes. Maybe that's not so impressive, but combined with the action pod, you can expect to record for almost 3 hours. Charging time is about 35 minutes for the GO3 camera and 65 minutes for the action pod. So it's time to test the microphone on the Insta360 GO3, and this is what it sounds like inside my YouTube studio. I think it sounds good, but how about if we test it outdoors on a chill afternoon with some coffee? That wasn't windy enough, so I took the GO3 to another location. Hey guys, how's it going? This is a microphone test of the Insta360 GO3, kinda in windy conditions, and this is regular video, 24 frames per second. I think that Insta360 did a good job with the sound, but if it's windy, it's not going to be so good, and right now, there is no way to connect an external microphone. So if you're not so happy with this internal microphone, you might want to use something like this from DJI. It is a microphone that has a feature to record audio without being connected to the camera. The downside is that you will have to put together the video and the audio file in post, and there is also the issue that you would have to spend at least $200 for something like this. Something strange happened with the microphone on the second day when I was testing the GO3. The audio and the video were not correctly synchronized, and that night I tried to make that happen again for many hours, and I had to give up because all the videos were just fine. So at this point, I can't say that this happens all the time, and I can't say that this will happen to you. But Insta360 needs to find a cause and fix this before it happens to more people. So if you're thinking about buying this camera and expect to have high-resolution videos, this is not going to be for you. But I do believe that the GO3 has a good amount of great features combined in a small form factor. Magnets, a flip screen, flow state stabilization, no overheating, great battery life, and how can we ignore this? This is a true pocket-sized camera. If you buy this product using the link in the video description, it will support the channel. If you're not so sure yet, I will have some videos comparing the GO3 with other action cameras in a few days or weeks. And if you don't like this camera, please let me know the reason in the comments down below. So now it's time to say goodbye. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye. Alright guys, so this is a microphone test on the Insta360 GO3, and I want to test the wind reduction because it's kind of windy right now in here.